All right, welcome folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your sit rep for Monday. It's actually April 4th, 2022, and it is about 11 a.m. Central Time here, coming to you from the great state of Texas. So without further ado, let's hop on over there. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification. And also, if you would, and if you're interested, want to support the channel, you can do so over on Patreon or via YouTube under the member side. So, okay, so let's take a look at what we got going on right now. Now, this is a build-up, pretty much a composite I pulled together, just showing the heavy lifts and the air refuelers over Europe right now, just kind of give you a general idea. It's been pretty lean, to be honest with you. And this, it's, what, 6 p.m.-ish over in Europe right now. But you can kind of see the movements. It is still kind of scattered out there. You can see that's an air refueler right there doing the little loop at the top. But just wanted to point that out. And then if I get over here to, let me see if I can find something over in the U.S. That will actually take us over to that side of the house. Maybe some of these reaches right here will do the trick. There we go. All right, and so now you can see what's going on in the U.S. Now, again, this is a buildup. This is air refuelers and cargo carriers, right? So C-17s, etc. But I just want to show you, sometimes it's good to just kind of get a big picture of how everything is kind of flowing today, right? And so that's, we got a little bit of stuff going on down here in Florida I've had my eye on. And then, of course, right up here, that's going to be Flashbang and his fighter support, okay? But you can see, there it is. Now, let's get into the details a little bit. I'll show you, it is really light. And as we get into the bases and we start looking at movements and relative to troops and things like that, you're going to see things have kind of settled in. So I don't know if that is the calm before the storm or what we're looking at here, but this is our watch list. And I just kind of give you a general idea. You can see we do have these intelligence balloons up, right? Quite a few of those still. I see 5 or 6 in the picture now. R-135 just taken off out of I guess I don't know if that's Texas or not from here, but anyway, some P-8s down there. We do have an E-6 up on the East Coast. And then we've got that Q-4, which is an interesting deal. Now, one thing I was going to point out is there is an intelligence balloon right down here off the northern tip of South America, and it has since disappeared, but it looks like we've got some intelligence up down there too. And then, of course, this is Europe right now. If you look at just our watch list alone, you can see they are still pretty hot and heavy. That little tight circle right there, that's a data grab relative to cell phone tower traffic, anything really. But R-135 still up, right? Mapping stuff out. And then we've got a couple other things. Now, this one here, this is a B-52. Now, you're going to see that little, looks like a, I don't know, bowl of spaghetti up there where he's just doing a bunch of loops and hanging out over the North Sea and off the coast of the UK. Now, the reason that they're doing that is because they are just basically burning fuel before they come back in. So B-52 holds a lot of fuel. And so when they start doing that, they're just in a holding pattern, burning some fuel, or they're cleared to come in. You can't land too heavy on a B-52. Not good for the landing gear or airframe or anything else for that matter. So then, of course, you can see the different layers, the different levels, because they're hitting the different altitudes and grabbing stuff. And then you got this little E3 and P3 doing some leg work right off of the kind of the edge of the Black Sea right there, right? And so P3, that's a sub hunter. And so just kind of give you an idea. And then when I show you the congestion, you can see why they're over that general area right there, to the right of Greece, okay? All right, now let's look at, this is our current live board. Also, let me just show you what it looked like from the heavies perspective this morning, okay? You can see this is a buildup, a 12-hour buildup, showing the tracks. The UK and Europe is, talk about quiet. Which is very interesting, right? Just kind of a data point. And then, of course, we got some stuff moving here just off the coast of Israel, all right? So keep our eye on that. And then here in the U.S., you got one long haul C-17. Looked like it went across the country up to Seattle. But everything else, man, really, really quiet from a heavy lift perspective, right? And then if you look at the tankers, same thing. Air refuelers, same area. Now, you notice that one we're just looking at, just lifted off in Florida. It's running some routes. Makes you wonder why they're doing it in Florida, who they're watching over, right? But that would indicate some fighter activity, as well as that one up there in the Northeast, and that's, of course, Biden. So, okay, now let's break away from this. Kind of got a flavor of what's going on. We did show you that Q4. This is actually Global Hawk. You can see now it's rolling up here off the Delaware coast, running some routes. And remember, the reach on that Bad Mamma Jammer is pretty good. I want to say it's about 1,500 mile radius, and it can cover 40,000 square miles in a day in terms of how long it can stay up, right? I think it's about an 18-hour day, but pretty crazy. But anyway, took off out of Jacksonville, and looks like it is rolling up the East Coast, doing some data collection now. Like I said, 1,500 square miles or mile radius that's pretty broad reach, okay? All right, let's go over here to Flashbang Schedule just to show you what he's not doing. This is always interesting when he starts looking at a trucking action plan. That's probably penalizing folks for doing things like the blockades and things like that. If I had to guess, it's probably not helping people if you had to really read into it between the lines, but who knows? Benefit of the doubt. I just don't trust anything. And so talking about nation supply chains, and then this guy doesn't know. It's just a dumpster fire, right? I mean, you got a guy that's running the operation. You just pray that he's got people below him that know what they're doing. But so far, it doesn't appear to be that way. And so transportation is going to be a very, very, very big key point here, especially with fuel costs going up and food supply shortages. So you definitely need to get this guy out and get somebody in there who knows what they're doing. Stat, and that's hoping you can turn it around. Okay. And also, hey, don't forget that guy that's running the transportation is a graduate of the School of World Economic Forum Young Future Global Leader thing. So, coincidence? Probably not. All right. This is going to be our volcanic activity, just to show you. These are ash alerts for pilots. You got 4 here over between Central and South America. It's kind of low. This one firing in Japan, you can see that's actually, the thing's pumping out. So it's got a little bit of ash cloud up, and that's an alert area. So going to be interesting when this stuff goes hot, because you know it's going to with China. That volcano may be an impact in terms of aviation flying and fighter flying. So, all right. Don't know why that popped up, but anyway, let's move on. Okay. It just means I got to disable notifications on that. All right. Anyway, this is actually going to be our Forward Observer, just kind of show you some of the headlines that are pointing out today. This right here is a call for the U.S. to get into the war in Ukraine. I don't know if you saw that. I will tell you it's highly suspect. This definitely stinks of kind of a black ops or somebody in there trying to stir the pot to draw us in. When I start showing you the players and some of the things they're doing with their messages, it'll kind of make sense why they're trying to draw us in. So this to me looks like something you'd see in a movie like Iron Man, where we actually put some guys in that are actually taking out people and then blaming it on somebody else. Kind of a spook work, I guess you could say. So also just want to point out, Germany is now about to raise their prices 20 to 50%. For food. All right. So keep in mind, Europe is already just struggling in terms of fuel costs. Now you're about to go through the roof on food prices. And that, folks, is not good. Okay. Let's get over here real fast. I want to point out in terms of feeding the machine, Soviet era T-72 tanks to be transferred to Ukraine from NATO countries. Key takeaway on this one. Reports that state that the U.S. brokered a transfer of these tanks to Ukraine. So we are, again, feeding the machine. Makes you wonder what we are doing here that's taking our eyes off of the local U.S. stuff, right? This is definitely an interesting... I mean, we just keep feeding it, right? UK's feeding it. Eventually, that bad dude's going to come home to roost, and we're going to be pulled in, and it ain't going to be good. All right, so... but yeah, this is now. If you look at these tanks, this is old school stuff, man. Really interesting to look at. I don't know how well they run, but yeah, we're pumping these things into the region, and again, Stinger missiles, javelins, tanks, we're pretty much putting the war in there, everything except for troops and our personal assets. So now, the interesting data point is that if you look at Russia and what they're doing, they aren't using all their advanced equipment. They seem to be using the same kind of junk in the region. And I think that's because he knows his long game is going to be against NATO. He's going to need that super futuristic, the hypersonics and the Su-57s to fight that part of the war, right? So, and then if it goes south and he's not winning, he's got nuclear option, right? So anyway, all right, let's get over here too. I just also want to point out, now this is the guy that works for JP Morgan Chase. He's warning that the U.S. faces unprecedented risk of a combo of inflation, war, and the big C word here. No doubt, we kind of know that. This is just showing their hand. But yeah, we're probably going to see, just like Germany's seeing, that 20 to 50% spike in food costs. We've already seen inflation start. We know it's just continuing to go up. So there you go, kind of bleak. But these guys, they kind of know what's going on. Most of them are graduates from the World Economic Forum, right? So all part of the plan. Now here's one for you. Biden is actually, Flashbang, he's put in a $773 billion request to Pentagon focused on China, all right? And so that's going to be our next step, 100%. We're getting our shift gears. We may be in war over here, but or in the Ukraine and Europe, but we're definitely going to be changing gears and focus on China here pretty quickly. So it talks about the entire national security budget requests $813 billion, including $40 billion that will largely go to maintain nuclear weapons under the Energy Department's budget. All right. So follow the money. All right. Now, this is one I always find interesting. Now, we go over to the U1 thing here in a second, but look who is calling for harsher punishment on Putin. Now is the time to double down. That's old Hillary, right? I think she's in panic mode, honestly. And I think it's because if we go back to this, I've pointed this out many a time, man, they are right front, dead center of all this Ukraine uranium one stuff. And they know that as this stuff starts to go down, so does their income, and somebody's punching them right in the wallet. And all their hard work is just going to hell in a handbasket. So just keep an eye on that, because that is part of the big picture. And this is why their whole pay-to-play scheme right now is getting hammered, all right? And so that's why they're crying. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of dogs, let's get over here. I just want to show something real fast. Just a little bit of a good news. This is actually a Army veteran that he is headed over to the Ukraine. He's actually rescued 35 dogs in Ukraine, and these are service dogs. And there's kind of a little light at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, or he's still got to get back. I will tell you, down in the description, I did put a link to his. He's got a GoFundMe page, and he's pretty close to getting the money he needs to get all these dogs back out of Ukraine and back to the U.S., I think, is where he's bringing them. So, but this is a U.S. Army veteran, like I said, doing some good work. And every once in a while, we just need to take a break from all the other just rubbish out there that's driving us crazy and look at some of the goodness coming out. And so there's a lot of actually dog help going on right now over there. So we kind of forget about the pets, right? And so, but that's a good news story. I just wanted to share that with you. And if you want to support the dude, that's on you. Like I said, I put a link in there. But, anytime you see an Army veteran or any veteran for that matter doing some good work, it should be highlighted because, just not enough of that out there, right? At least not the good news story. So. All right, let's bump over here to cyber attacks. The number really hasn't changed. We're still at like 3.79 million attacks, probably because it's all bot related, if I had to guess. Mainly intrusion and malware stuff, but this is kind of what we'll be watching for. You can see it's the main two things on this right now are the U.S. and Europe. So it looks to be a lot of scuds going back and forth between the two countries, or the two regions, should I say. And I would imagine as we continue to buy equipment and put it in there to fight against the Russians, that this right here is only going to increase. So we'll just keep our eye on that, all right? And same thing over here. This is actually over on Checkpoint, Threat Cloud, and just kind of give you an idea of some of the volleys going back and forth, where they're hitting today. U.S. looks a little more active today than it has in past shows where we pop onto this, but just pointing it out. All right, just a data point. Now, speaking of data points, just want to show you. Now, remember we've got that Navy P3 that's kind of hanging out in this region right here, and then coming up the coastline here on the Black Sea. Remember, the Soviets are pretty heavy out here in Moldova, and so that P3 was coming right up on the border of that, and into Romania probably, down here on the Black Sea. So that's a war zone, okay, and this is Crimea. But we are watching with the P3 a lot of this activity. Now, I will tell you, you can see the flow of goods is pretty popular heading through here, right? There's a lot of cargo ships. And the red are oil tankers and all headed into Russia. This is Soviet Union over here, right? Or the former Soviet Union. And so just a data point, but I haven't seen any slow up yet. These guys seem to be kind of still moving and shaking. So you'll see at some point an effort to close this off right here. And that's probably going to make Turkey pretty mad. But there'll probably be something. They may do it down in this region, or they'll do it right here at this pinch point. But there will be eventually, as we get engaged in this war and NATO is fully engaged, some effort to stop the flow of goods. All right, that's why you're seeing that P3 in here. He's probably looking at these cargo ships, subs, all kinds of different stuff that's coming through here. All right, let's get over to Biggs Army Airfield. Now, typically this is a very big, busy area, and it has not been. Now, I'm not really sure. Remember, this is a very big camp complex from an immigration standpoint. It was full of poppies. I don't know if we've got Ukrainians coming in there now, what the deal is. I would imagine they're probably not together because, remember, the Ukrainians, 71% of that population are Christians, so you're probably not going to put the Christians in with the Muslims. But that said, we got this one coming in from Indianapolis. This is actually an Atlas Air, and then it's headed to Houston. So I don't know if they're moving people or if they're moving product, okay? Just pointing it out. That's coming out of Biggs Army Airfield. But other than that, it's been really quiet. Now it is Monday, so we get over here on the arrival board, and we don't have anything coming in since Friday. So, yeah, it has slowed down quite a bit, all right? All right, let's get over here to the Omni. This is actually some of your troop movers. Just want to show you, this one's coming out of Anderson Air Force Base in Guam. Looks like it's going to Hawaii, and then it'll be headed here to the U.S. And then we got this one way down south. And so that looks to be... let's see here, Austin International. So I guess that's where it came in from. So that was the trek flying from Austin. Now that more than likely has got some dudes from Fort Hood, troops moving in, and then of course it looks like that's where they're headed to. So, all right. Normally don't see the destination. So, okay, there's that one. And then let's get over here. This is going to be your Camber Flights. Now, these are U.S. military charter birds, so to speak. They're not going to be military assets, but charters for the DoD, just like the Omnis, really. These are Camber Flights, and you can see we got one headed into Europe right there. Actually, sorry, not one into Europe. This is Turkey right here. So let's see where it heads. No telling. This one here rolling out of Frankfurt. And then we got one here that is not showing yet on our map. So, like I said, it has slowed down quite a bit. Now, this is going to be the UK's version of their Camber Flights, right? Still moving, transporting troops. But again, look like they're mainly in Europe right now. So that could be some replen stuff. Could be anything, really. It could be troops or it could be some assets, right? They are feeding the machine just like we are. So they could be parking some, some new vehicles or air-to-air or ground-to-air defense stuff. There's no telling. So, but I did read that Russia basically said that if they catch him coming across the border in Ukraine, they're basically going to take it out. So, like I said, it's not going to go long before this all goes hot for sure. So, all right, this is the Russian version. So we've got the U.S., we got the U.K., we got Russia. This one, I don't know. I don't even know where that's coming out of. I'm not probably headed to Moscow if I had to guess, but that's RSD 72. Now remember, 71 is Putin's bird, right? RSD 71 is the call sign for him. But yeah, that's just going to be that's a small jet headed that way. But It was a couple more on earlier this morning, but it doesn't look like they are doing anything. You can see that night line right here coming across, so it's starting to get dark there. Okay, and then our immigration birds. This is just insane. Keep in mind, Title 42 is about to go south, and then when that happens, everything south's about to go north. So, but this is the flights. Many of them leaving the country. Some out of Valley headed down to, Central America, Mexico. We got them here. Out of, where's that coming out of? Like Chicago or something. So there's a lot of activity. Again, these guys are, for the most part, that's immigrant moving stuff. So just keep our eye on it. That is a lot of flights. It is actually probably a good 5 or 6 higher than it was when we first started tracking this stuff back in like September. So very busy, very active. Now, the key will be watch Title 42 and see if this increases I don't know. I don't even know what to make of this anymore. Just hoping they're not bringing folks in, that they're bringing people out. I just can't see them bringing out folks. I can't. Not under this current administration. Now, if it was Trump in office, I'd say these are people probably getting exported. But with the current regime in play, they could be imported. So, all right. Now, this is the other piece too, just kind of tied to that. I want to point out we got 3 states now suing. The AGs are suing the Biden administration over a Title 42 decision. So, there's, this is what it's going to take. And these are probably the 3 border states, if I had to guess, right? So, all right. And last but not least, let's get over here. This is N721AL. This is actually DOJ. I just want to point out on Friday, we were watching it, didn't know where it was going. Looks to be in Salt Lake City, Utah at the moment, coming out of Omaha. So we'll watch and see where it goes next. But came out of DC and went that direction. Okay. All right, back over here to our main board, and you can see there's our Q4. That's actually going to be that's a spy bird, right? He's up at 47,000 feet and looks to just be running that little route. Let's see if he hangs out in the area. Again, you've got Flashbang about to be on the move, headed back to the White House today. And so this here, a couple C-17s, I don't know what they're doing, but took off out of Tampa, came all the way up, and they just didn't even, no touch and go, just staying at altitude, and now they're doing the big hook. We'll see. They'll probably land here in South Carolina, but keeping our eye on that. And then this is our R-135 down over Florida. Remember, that's a spy bird, and it's a rivet joint, so he's basically just gathering data, looking at almost like think of a battlefield assessment, right? So, but I do find it interesting. We've got air refuelers up. We got our R-135 up. There is definitely a lot of interest down here in Florida, and we know who is right here. That's going to be Melania, right? So that was a joke. Okay. Anyway, let's get back over real fast. Look at the TFRs. Just want to show you what's going on. I usually cover those up front, but it's going to be your International Space Station headed over. This is, we get over here into Augusta. You got that little one right there. That's going to be a TFR for the Masters Golf Tournament. I think these are air shows still. This is security TFR at Jax Naval Air Station. That's going to be a fire. I think, that's hazards and probably a fire. Yeah, it's a fire, tied to a fire. This one right here is a hazards. It looked like that's a rescue effort underway. Now, that could be why we see that Q4 drone up here. Don't know. Depends on what they're rescuing, if it's voluntary or involuntary. And then we get into this. I just want to point out, you've got the Senior Living Center Brown Zone right here, a.k.a. the Village. And then we've got this little TFR in here that is a security TFR. And I don't know what it is tied to. Typically, when we see that, I don't really know. Let's kind of zoom in on the area. Looks to be a pretty nice little area. That looks to be some kind of complex dead center. So no telling. That probably, I don't know. I don't know what that is. I'm sure somebody knows what that is. I'm just not saying what that is. Okay. All right. Let me back up just a tad, and we'll see. You got some fires going on here in Texas. Normal border TFR looks to be in play. And let me see. This is actually wind warnings. So we got some pretty strong winds coming through that area. And then we get up here into Alaska, and there's a lot of stuff going on. All right. This right here is HARP. The fact that that's on means it's active. For those not familiar with HARP, that is basically a weather manipulation radar grid, so to speak. And then we've got some space operations right here. I think more space operations right here, and then this is security right here. Okay, so all right. Well, listen, that is going to close us out for today on our SITREP. We'll be back on Wednesday. Remember, Q&A for the Monkey Nation, the members, you guys in the chat. Nothing today. We'll kick it back up on Wednesday. So again, that's it. You guys keep your powder dry and stay frosty, because I just got a feeling something big is about to pop, because there's the lack of activity, the fact we're not moving any more troops around, everything seems to be settling in. You know, the next part of that stage is basically for it to kick off, right? It means all the assets are in place, and you know how that goes. So, all right, that's it. You guys be safe out there. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at monkeyworksus.com.